Yeah, 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 yeah. We're here. We got our Elden Ring music. I'm so excited. So, coming in the future, I've got a banger Elden Ring video coming out. That's taken me a lot of time, and it's a difficult challenge I did. So, in preparatory for that video coming out, whenever I can finish it, I'm going to be ranking the bosses. And since I'm playing melee build and since I did this challenge, I feel like I have the best grasp on these bosses right now, the way they are. So this will be the most accurate tier list in the known internet, okay? So, a couple things. One, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Two, to set down what I'm doing here, it's going to be going based off of... this list is going to be... The foundation of it is how cool is the boss... like the aroma of the boss, but then also just how fun they are and how well of a designed boss is all these factors can play into it. If something's really cool but doesn't play as well, it might be be a little higher just because it's still cool. So you have to factor in everything here. And then I'm going to try to do it based off of when I fought him. So looking here, Margit. And actually, what I want to do first, we're going to go straight into, and I'm only doing main bosses as well. That's another important thing to note here. So, I'm trying to find, okay, here you go. Things changed when I went to full screen. That's my bad. Okay, so we're at a Knight of the Helga Tree. So, I don't see Tree Sentinel or the one that guards Lindell Capital. So they're all very similar fights. And I'm just going to make it into one fight. I really enjoy the Tree Sentinel fight. And I actually enjoy all the fights. I think there's enough openings within each fight that it makes it fun. They have range attacks, but they're also close. You feel like you can dance within the horse and find the right angle. And then dodging if it does feel like a good fight. I don't feel like I'm getting crapped on and for crappy programming or situations that aren't fair for these horse fights. And then for the Tree Sentinel coming out level 0, coming out and fighting him, and it just feels like a good fight. I think it's an above average fight, but obviously there's nothing fancy about the fight. There's nothing cool going on around it, so we're gonna say that B. Going forward to Margit the Fell Omen. Now, this is the first fight, the first main boss here, as we're only going through main bosses, and this is probably the fight that everyone quit on. It's a hard first boss, and I'm pretty sure they nerfed him. They're pretty sure they nerfed Margit, but I beat him before the nerf. I really like Margit. I think Margit and Margott are some of the most fencing-like fighting situations in the whole game, where I really do feel like I'm getting my hit, you get yours, I dodge, I get you. Bigger creatures and things with really high range attacks just don't have that feeling, and I just feel like Margit is such a well-made boss, and it's S. It's so easy in S. The situation's cool as well. You're on a bridge with a bunch of swords. They got the aesthetic right, and the fight is great. Hard but great. Okay, next up, right past Margit, past the castle, is Godrick the Grafted. So now, let's change this to an F. So Godrick the Grafted is also an S tier fight. I think that's a simple one. Looking at all these main bosses, we're going to have a lot of high ranked bosses. I think there might be a lot of S's, but that's the beauty of the game. So Godrick is below Margit. I do feel like Godrick has his swings. He has really wide openings that you can take advantage of. But the fight itself is so cool. When he pulls off the dragon head, puts on his hand. Are you kidding me? This is the moment. You'll see in my video I say, this is the moment that I love the game. This is when I was fully invested, and I was thinking Elden Ring is a 10 out of 10 game at this point. Because the fight is so cool. I have not a single complaint about this fight. I think it has a good mixture between range and close combat. And Godrick just looks sick. After Godrick, I fought the Red Wolf of Radagon. Now, the Red Wolf of Radagon is the introductory boss to Renala. Literally, You go 300 feet past Red Wolf, and you got to Renala, the main boss, one of the main bosses. I think the Red Wolf of Radagon is a really well-made fight. It's short. He doesn't have much health, and his range attacks are cool. He shoots like arrows, magical knives. He has a big red sword that he sweeps at you, and you're in this cool like assembly hall. Red Wolf is cool, but I can't go up to A just because it is a smaller fight. I do enjoy it, and it's not a C tier fight. But I think I do enjoy it more than the horse fights, I believe. Yeah, I do. So, after that, we got Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Now, this might be the lowest fight in this tier list. Actually, I know one that's worse. But, Renala, to me, as a melee build, I think I know magic builds have a harder time with Renala. So Renala is not even too difficult. The problem with Renala, she's just not fun. Her first phase is time-consuming and just boring, really. And then the second phase is all right. It's still not even that fun. The fight though is really cool. You're in this it looks like you're inside a moon or something, and then on top of reflective water, and she just attacks you, spams you with range attacks. Not spams. She's slower. But she doesn't have much health. It's just not a great fight in all reality. Now, I wouldn't say she's D, as I have slight fun, but Renala is probably the second worst boss fight in the game, to me. Okay, so after Renala, I fought the Fire Giant. So Fire Giant, no, not Fire Giant. What am I saying? Radahn. Obviously, this isn't completely accurate timeline. Some people might do things differently, but so Starscourge is an easy S tier. I would say the coolest fight in the entire game, or at least like top 3. Like it is so cool. You spawn down and you come into this big battlefield with a bunch of swords in the ground, and he's off in the distance. They give you this cool backstory, and then you can summon a bunch of dead heroes with you, and you feel like you're in this war, which none of the other ones do. The other ones, it's like a 1v1 type of situation. This one's like, you got like 8 people you can summon, and then you're rushing and you're helping. And the only issue with this fight is the fact that I don't think the fight is as fun as the S++ bosses are. It's really fun still, but like when I think about Margit, Margit's more fun. Like, it's just more fun because he's on a horse. He has these big sweeping axes. He's going quickly through. And then his second phase is very range heavy, hard to get in there, and you feel like you're chasing around your horse. The horse play in this one is really good too, as not all the bosses allow you to actually use your horse in the fight. This one, it's a necessity to get around on this huge battlefield. Starscourge is amazing, and I think I'm going to go Starscourge over Godrick. You know, I do think Godrick's more fun. But the other factors of Starscourge bring it just slightly over him for me. And yeah, Radahn is amazing. Okay. So after Starscourge, we got Rykard of the Lord of the Blasphemy. Now we're getting in that range of not as cool as Starscourge, but literally right, like if Starscourge is S++ coolness, Rykard is like a S++. It's just right below it. Amazing fight. My only problem with this fight is the fact that when you go into it, you're given a new weapon. I'm not a huge fan of that, personally. I'd rather just use my build and go in and feel like the other bosses. But it's a one-time thing. It doesn't happen every boss fight. You know, it never happens again. So it's kind of like its own thing, and it's cool. I think the boss fight itself is fun. Not as fun as like Margit or some of these one-on-one fencing type situations, but it's still really fun. And it's an easy S. I mean, nothing else to say. It's as easy as an S as it gets. But I would probably put it still lower S, just purely fun factor, where it's slightly hindered to the bosses above it. Slightly. Okay. Now, I think what we got next What I think we've got next is Margott. Now I could be wrong here. Where's Margott? Dude, I can't find Margott. They better have Margott on here, because that is no joke. Probably there's Margott. I'm blind. Okay, Margott is literally Margit, but just more intense, more difficult. Obviously, Margit's the very first. Margott is one of the last 8 bosses you fight. Margott has all the same abilities, plus poison, plus bleed. Plus rot, plus bleed. Instead of a big holy sword, he's also got a spear. He's just a fleshed out and crazy fight. You're on top of the throne room, right next to the giant Erd tree. It's a sick fight in every category. It's definitely harder than Margit, but you can do it. You can learn it, and that's what I love about Margit. And Margit is the top of the S right now, right above Margit. I love both these fights so much. If I was to get like a statue of like a memorabilia piece of Elden Ring, it might be Margit or Margott, just because it's like the opening, one of the endings, and the fights are so fun. It's hard, and you have to learn it, and once you learn it, you feel like you're making progress. And I love them. Okay, so after Margott, that's when we head up to the Fire Giants. And that's when the Fire Giant comes in here. So, Fire Giant is as cool of a boss as you'll see. You're next to a giant furnace up in the sky. You can see the Erd tree in the distance. There's like a bunch of dead giant corpses. I think the lore is he's like the last giant up in the sky. And the fight itself, my recollection before this last playthrough was that it was really cool and like fun. But playing again, he's actually really easy to hit. He rolls, everything he does is really easy to maneuver. You just can't let your guard down and just not care about it, because he will kill you if you start being lax with it. But the openings are easy. He just has a ton of health, and that's kind of frustrating. And the problem is you only see his legs the whole fight. If you're playing the boss right, you're going to just see his legs, and that's not something I want in my fights. But like I said, as cool as it can really get. Not a bad boss. I think the moves he has are cool as well. He's not C. He might be top of B or A, but I think I'm going to go top of B. And that's kind of where we're sitting there with Fire Giant, and that feels good right now. I may come back later, but I doubt it. Okay, so after Fire Giant, I don't think I missed anything. Oh no, Commander Nial is another one. I'm going to count him as a main one, because you have to get through him to get to the Halga tree, which is how you get to Melania, and that's a large portion of the map, so I'll consider him a boss. I think Nial is kind of a weaker boss. He has a really cool moveset with his electrical foot. He is half burn at time, he can fly through with electricity. The problem is he spawns in with 2 mobs around him, and they're annoying knights. So that is never a fun situation for me when there's multiple, which was not my feeling at first during the game. When I first started playing the game, I did not feel that way. But now I do. And I do think it's slightly frustrating. I just want to fight the boss. I don't want to fight stupid mobs, which is another problem with Renala. You're fighting mobs throughout the boss. That she spawns. But, yeah, Commander Nial might be a top of C thing. I obviously have more fun with Commander Nial than Renala, just because once those mobs are gone, he is actually decently fun. But I don't think he's, as fun as the horse fights, Red Wolf, or Fire Giant. I mean, Fire Giant, it's hard to say, but I think C feels good at this present time. Okay, so after the Fire Giant's defeat, and now we're headed over. Well, actually, before I get to the crumbling Farum Azula, I'm gonna do Melania and Mohg, because I fought them before I got to crumbling on my first couple playthroughs. So, yeah, Melania is S tier, right? This is probably, I would assume that people who don't know this game, she's probably the most well-known face that you've seen, because people post about her, make videos off of their fights with her. she's one of the classic bosses in the game for many reasons. She's difficult. She can heal. She has the Dance of the Foul move that's hard. And she becomes naked halfway through, which is fun. So, Melania is great. But I'm not as high on Melania as other people. I do think everything surrounding her is cool. The music's awesome. She's a really well fleshed out boss. Like, I really enjoy her. But honestly, I think I have more fun with Godrick than I do Melania, if I'm being straight up honest. And Godrick, I think, is actually cooler with the dragon head arm. That's just the way it's gonna be. I think Melania is there. But don't get it twisted. She's a S tier boss. Like, so easy. There's zero thought about that one. Now we're gonna go into Mohg, who's off in his own area. A pretty cool, fun, dark, bloody, grimy area. Mohg is awesome. And I'm pretty sure, as I was thinking about this, as I was setting up the bosses in the right order and stuff, when I clicked Mohg's, I was immediately like bottom of S. Now, when I said Starscourge is the coolest, and there's like with the top 3, I think Mohg is in that top 3 of coolest situation. Mohg is such a cool boss with his abilities. He has a huge trident. He spikes into the air, makes you bleed in your position. I don't know how it works with the magic, but it's awesome. He just is insanely bloody. He can swipe with his claws and it leaves the blood fire in the air, and it's really hard, boss. Really hard. I'm surprised I was able to beat him. He is very rangy though, and it does feel less like a fencing situation, less of a dance. It's more like, okay, dodge, dodge, dodge. When can I get in there? Type of situation. Which is more like Margit and Godrick and Melania, more than that fencing situation. So he is lower in that tier for me. But it would be such a disservice not to do S. I'm going to have to do S, and I'm almost positive it would be bottom of S, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, now we're to Crumbling Fair Missoula. So, we should have 3 bosses here to do. Now, the first one you're going to come across is the Godskin Duo. Now, I'm not being a hater. I am not being overdramatic here, but I think Godskin Duo is an F. Every phase of this fight is the worst. So when you spawn at the Grace, and you have to run past 2 knights who will swing at you, fly at you. They're just mob knights, but they're flipping annoying, okay? You have to run past them every time. Sometimes they hit you, sometimes they don't. So then you're weak coming into the fight. And then sometimes they hit you through the wall as you're entering the boss fight. They'll still hit you. So that's frustrating every time. And then to cap it off, then it's 2 bosses that we've already seen with the Godskin Apostle and the Godskin Noble. You've already seen these bosses, but now it's just 2 of them. And they have a large health bar. So if you kill one of them, they're still going to spawn the other one until the full health bar is gone. They deal insanely strong damage. They have really high movement speed. And the only thing you have are pillars to defend. 2 bosses are not fun for anyone. Now, I will say there's slight moments where it's fun. I mean, like, you're running through the pillars, you're trying to separate the fat one from the skinny one, and then you attack the skinny one, and then you're kind of watching the fat one to see when he's approaching, because they will just hit you. There's nothing programmed in them to, like, okay, if he's hitting him, be a little patient. No, they come at you straight on like it's like there's one boss in the room. They just come at you. Really frustrating. Harder than it has to be. And not even fun in the end of it all. I think Godskin Duo is the worst boss in the fight. The worst boss in the game. No questions asked. Easy. Okay, next up. After that, I want to do Dragonlord Placidusax. So this is not a main boss. You don't have to do it. It's just off in the side in the Crumbling Fair Missoula. But the fight is so cool. And I'm going to give it an A fight. Now, I think anytime you have large bosses like Fire Giant or any of the other dragons here that I'm not going to do, it's not as enjoyable of experience because you feel like you just look at their feet. And you're just hitting them and hoping, and then you're kind of looking up to see if there's any big movements so you have to dodge. But in terms of coolest fights, Dragonlord has its case to be one of the coolest fights in the game. It's an electric fire rotting 2-headed dragon that can like teleport. It's so flipping cool. I wish this was a main story, but at the same time, I don't even wish it was a main story boss because it's so cool how hidden it is. If you haven't seen this fight, go out, check it out. this is legitness. Okay. But again, the fight is just not as up to par, and it's I don't know. I think it's just like A+++, not quite S, and I could be wrong on that. But that's just how I feel right now. That's how I'm feeling. Okay, after Dragonlord, we're then gonna get to Maliketh. Which Maliketh is the last boss in one of the last areas. He is an amazing fight. His first phase, where he's cloaked in his garb and just has his knife out, extremely fun. You can read it. You can get behind the pillars. It's quick. Nothing happens where you feel like that's ridiculous. That's bullcrap. It's just a nice, clean fight. Really nice and clean. And I'm actually going to and then it's also one of the coolest stages, coolest situations. When you have the lore behind the dog, it's even cooler. He's top. He might be above Godrick. But below Starscourge. Actually, no, he's more fun than Starscourge. I think Starscourge and Maliketh are literally twin, like the exact same score in the S's. They'd both be S+++, whatever. But I'm going to give Maliketh the slight edge if I have to put it next to it, because I think the fight is just fun enough, more fun than Starscourge. Yes, that's what's happening. Okay, then we're going to move on over to the last 3 bosses. There's 3 more that I am almost positive I'm correct on. There's only 3. Yes. So we got Gideon of Nial. Now he's cool. I really like the backstory and lore of him. He helps at the table. He's the all-knowing. His gear is awesome. I like him, and he just spams magic at you. So that's what's kind of weak about him. He just spams his magic, but it's kind of fun to try to figure out how to evade it, when the right moments are to hit him. And I think the fight's cool because it's right below the throne room. So it's like you're entering the throne room and then you have to come up across him. So Gideon, I think, is actually cool. I'm trying to think. He might be an A tier fight, honestly. No. Let me think. That's hard. This is a hard one, actually. He doesn't have much health either. So it's kind of like, it's just like 2 glass cannons. Just because he'll wreck you too with his magic. Ooh, this is not fun. This is not a good one. Let me think about this. Yeah, we'll keep him there. We'll keep him there. Yep. I just like the character Gideon. He's one of my favorite characters in the whole game, which adds some for me, personally. Okay, then we got Godfrey. So Godfrey is the Elden Lord at the present time. The person you're trying to kill to become the Elden Lord. The person I thought was the final boss, as I'm sure a lot of us did. When we fight him, be like, okay, this is the final boss. Until the actual final boss happens afterwards. I think Godfrey is my favorite fight in the game. I think. Yes. I think what Margott and Godfrey both are sick. Godfrey gets a slight few more style points with the large spiritual dragon on his back, symbolizing his kingliness across the lands between. Godfrey is awesome. The problem with Margott is Margott has such a wide tool set that it's just slightly more frustrating than Godfrey. Godfrey, you can read the moves. He deals a massive punch when he hits you, but you feel like you can control it. Now, his second phase is extremely fast and hard, but when you played enough, you can learn how to literally never take a hit from him. Same with the first phase. I think that's what makes a well-made boss, is the fact that you can actually read it, but it's hard to read it still, right? It's still difficult to make the right moves. And then I think the fight is just fun. I think dodging his what do you call it, where he shakes the earth, is fun. Getting up close, reading his moves. I love Godfrey, and I think it might be my favorite fight in the game. And I'm pretty sure it is, because the last fight is Radagon of the Golden Order and Elden Beast, which Radagon is not my favorite fight, but Radagon's an S tier fight. He's the opening fight, or she. No, I think he's the brother. I'm trying to remember the lore here. I haven't watched videos for a while, but Radagon is like the opening fight to the last boss, which is Elden Beast, and you have to fight them once you beat Radagon, the health you have going into from that is what you have for Elden Beast. So it's actually, that's the situation that makes it kind of more frustrating than it should be, as I think Radagon itself is an S tier. It's awesome all around. But then the Elden Beast is honestly a C tier fight. I think Elden Beast would sit here, and I think Radagon would probably be like here. So now we have to find the middle ground, which is what, B? I think we're going to go B, and I think I'm going to go right there. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.